Good evening, I'm the Game Tutor, and tonight we're going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch version of Paladins. Now, Paladins came out a little while ago as a Founders Pack, and it's now just recently gone free to play. I'm going to admit, I've never really played Paladins before up till playing it on Nintendo Switch. I'm a big fan of Overwatch, and so having something on my Switch which was fulfilled that kind of Overwatch itch was quite a big deal, so I thought I'd jump in and see what it is. Now, first let me start by saying that I have got absolutely addicted to playing Paladins on Switch. It really does play brilliantly. Now, I can't compare it to the PC version. I can only really sort of do it on its own merits. But if you are looking for a shooter experience, Paladins is absolutely brilliant, and I really cannot recommend it enough. Now, the game is basically an arena shooter with characters with the sort of, the Overwatch style MOBA special abilities, where you have in teams of 5 and you play each other in either team deathmatch, siege, which is where you have to capture an advantage point in the middle and then take a cart to one area or the other, and onslaught, which is essentially kind of like King of the Hill. What I really like about the game is that, unlike Overwatch where you have the class switching, and it seems that because you have the class switching, the game is quite often not very balanced, because the whole idea is that it gets unbalanced and then you're supposed to switch. But quite often in a game, especially with random people, getting people to switch is quite difficult. Because Paladins doesn't have the switch mechanic, I actually prefer it for it, because the actual characters themselves are a lot more balanced, at least in my opinion, and a lot of the things they have aren't sort of quite so overpowered. Obviously I'm playing a game here, please do give me some leeway into the fact that I'm not quite playing as well as I perhaps could do, but hopefully by the end of the game I will have done okay. I'm also chosen to play Victor because he's the Call of Duty style character, which is probably the most easy to play while you're trying to talk. So firstly, let's talk about the gameplay. Obviously, being on Switch, you're not got a mouse and keyboard control. You can play with players that are on Xbox, and therefore that is quite a nice thing. If you are particularly ×3 killing spree, it's going fairly well, which is obviously good if you have friends that's on a different platform. It does play pretty responsibly, and I've been quite impressed actually playing on the Switch. I've played the majority of my games in handheld mode. I have played a little tiny bit in big screen mode, and both seem to play very well. Graphically, the game looks really good in sort of TV mode, and while obviously it is a lot lower resolution, and it's purposely at quite a low resolution so that it runs at 60 frames per second, which it really does at all times. I haven't noticed any slowdown while playing it. Because you've got that, it doesn't look as good as it otherwise could do on handheld. But to be honest, when you're playing, I can't say I've ever really given it too much thought, if I'm honest. Now, obviously, as well as that, is the kind of how the game plays in itself. So the game is broken down into obviously those 3 types of games, and you also have sort of a few main different types of characters. You have damage dealers, which are kind of your all-round characters generally. You've got flank characters, which generally have lower health pools but higher damage output. So generally the idea of those is they can go around the flank and try and take characters out. You have frontline heroes, which are essentially your tanks, and you have support heroes, which are essentially your healers. And it's oh, that went well. It's really important actually, and also almost a lot more than Overwatch, that you have a pretty balanced team. And generally I have found that in situations where I've gone into a game where I didn't have, or at least my team didn't have a decent mix, it didn't generally go so well. So that is definitely something that's quite important. in terms of the mix of characters, there are a decent mix, and there are quite a few more characters actually than you'll find in Overwatch. And there's stuff to suit all different types of play styles. You know, you've got snipers, you've got general sort of gun characters, you've got turtley tanks, you've got healers that do damage, you've got lots and lots of different things. Most archetypes are covered here, and actually that's actually one of the only potentially problematic things I see going forward, is that again most of the time most archetypes are actually covered. So you know, 7 streaks going well, therefore it's like, where are we going to potentially go from here? But you know, MOBAs have been doing this for years and don't seem to be having too much of a problem. So again, I guess that is just the way it is. So there was a Founders Pack out. You can't buy the Founders Pack anymore, but you can buy all of the champions, which costs about 30 quid, and that's what I did. And there is a battle pass. Now if you played Fortnite recently, you have a pretty good idea how a battle pass works, in that you kind of get, as you gain levels in the battle pass, you kind of get drip fed bits of DLC as you sort of play through the game. I don't quite know how I feel about this, because it's kind of like extra DLC on top of like the usual DLC that you get in these sorts of games, but I don't know. It is what it is, and it does seem okay. The only thing I really would say as a kind of room for improvement, if you like, is there's not a massive amount to do outside of the kind of general playing the game. Yay, we won. Let's but you know, it is what it is. So oh, excellent, I got the top play. Let's see what my top play is going to be. Oh, it was right at the end. So you know, it's Paladins. It's a really good game on Switch. There's nothing like Switch on it. Maybe one day we'll see Overwatch, but who knows. For now, it's definitely scratching that itch. It's really well done. It runs like an absolute dream. There's a few little issues with sort of DLC and thing, but it's definitely not pay to win. You can only buy cosmetics, and if you're looking for something that isn't Fortnite, because I'll be honest, I'm a little bit bored of Fortnite, Paladins is something I can 100% recommend. So you know, I've unlocked a new reward as getting my battle pass up. So you know, I'm unlocking quests and other things. There's dailies and other bits and pieces. How many kills did I get? 18. Good. Pleased with that. Yeah, pleased with that. So that's Paladins. Give it a try, and again, keep tuned to the Game Tutor for new Switch games and mainly indies, but hey, talk about other stuff as well. See you later. Night night.